Now, many business owners are constantly worrying how they can make their businesses more profitable. And you may think that employing highly productive people would be the answer, but apparently there is a better way.
And here to tell us what that better way is are Dan Gregory and Kieran Flanagan, regular panel guests on Gruen Planet and authors of a new book, Selfish, Scared and Stupid. So welcome to you both. I hear that lazy employees are the way forward.
Yeah, good morning. We think that lazy people have been far too underestimated in our businesses and in our economy. And as we're moving from, I guess, a more linear kind of work to a more creative kind of work, laziness is actually, it generates a capacity to find an easier, less labour-intensive way of getting work done. So laziness is actually an asset in a world that needs us to be more creative.
Okay, Kieran, you're not then talking about someone who comes to work and can't be bothered doing any work. It's more about someone who wants to take the easy route, and perhaps that's good for the business.
Yeah, we're not talking about a disengaged, lazy person who doesn't care about a result. We're talking about someone who really cares about the result they're going to get, but they're looking to do it in the simplest, easiest way possible. Because sometimes with diligent employees, and they're amazing, you need some of them in your business, but what happens is that they tend to follow the systems perfectly. You ask them to do something, they do it to the letter. And that's amazing, but in this world that's changing so fast, what happens is that they don't ever stop to think about what they're doing and to question the system and go, can I do this faster, simpler, easier? Can I get home at 5 o'clock and still get the result I need?
Do you think there's still a prevailing attitude sometimes, though, that leaving at 5, for instance, would show that, in fact, you don't really care and that you're not as dedicated as some of your colleagues?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And one of the things we talk about is the fact that we need to change the metrics we use to measure our employees and to measure productivity. Because at the moment, all we've really got is time. Now, just because someone's working through till 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night doesn't mean that they're working particularly well or that they're delivering the results that we need. It may just be that they're goofing off during the day and having to play catch up at the end of the day. So what we're looking for is, how do we actually find people who are productive, and how do we measure them in a way so that it's linked to their output rather than just the time they're sitting in their desk or in the office?
But I'd also imagine there's not the perfect employee. You're not looking for a cardboard cutout. Everyone is going to be different. So is it important to bring a range of skills and attitudes to a business?
Yeah, definitely. We know, in lots of studies that diversity can beat talent. In fact, MIT did a study and they took a homogenous group of men and they added a single woman to the group. And guess what? The collective IQ of the group actually went up. In fact, it kept going up until that homogeneity balance tipped back the other way, and there were more men than women, more women than men, and at that point the IQ of the group started to drop again. So we know diversity makes teams smarter and makes our businesses smarter. So we do need different approaches and different ways of thinking.
One of the things that happens, and why diversity is important, is not just a social responsibility thing to do, is it helps us avoid contextual blindness. So a diverse group of people will have many different points of view and can actually see a problem from different angles, and that's actually critical.
Your book is called Selfish, Scared and Stupid. I wonder if you think that some employers are scared of changing the dynamic and potentially bringing on maybe a worker who does things differently.
Well, certainly, and I think what's pushing them is the fact that the marketplace is changing so quickly. We're living in an age of unprecedented change. If you think, I mean, Kieran and I were laughing the other day. Just 20 years ago, we were the only people we knew who had email addresses. And now it's ubiquitous. So things are changing at such a rate that what used to be uncomfortable, what used to be threatening, what used to be scary, is now just a matter of course. And we kind of need to understand that and get used to it and have some strategies around it.
And we've built our workplaces on, I guess, the Industrial Revolution systems. If you think about it, we needed production lines, we needed people to be there, we needed them to be efficient all day long to get more product off the line. But that system's changing as more and more technology comes in, and we need people who can think. The ability to think. We say creativity is our last competitive advantage that businesses have. So the lazy mindset, is a really important one to bring into play, to say, you know what, let's have people who constantly look at every new thing that's coming in, the technologies that are available, and look to make our systems faster, sharper, smarter and more creative.
And how important is it to have a relaxed workplace? I mean, obviously we see it with some of the IT companies and so on, where they encourage their workers to go and play table tennis and sit in beanbags and do your work. I mean, is that the way we should be conducting our work?
Look, it's really funny. You know, the rest of the world has started to look like an advertising agency from the 1980s, whereas advertising agencies have actually become more like, you know, sweatshops. So it's interesting that change has happened. I think what it's about is about changing the environment of work. And one of the things we talk about is the fact that, you know, design beats discipline and motivation in the long term. So discipline and motivation are great things, but they only ever work in the short term. What we're talking about is, how do you design an environment? How do you design a process such that you can get people to deliver the result that you want? But the other thing is, how do you make failure more difficult? How do you design a system so that they can deliver and you reduce the risk of them failing?
It's interesting because when you're talking about creativity, obviously you're not just talking about the creative industries. I mean, you hear lots of lawyers these days talking about how restrictive billable hours are, and how, you know, every 15 minutes has to be sort of productive quotes, because it has to be billed back to the, you know, to whoever's paying. That, I suppose that's part of the point, isn't it? That, you know, that if we take out that element of it, really in the longer term things could become really unproductive, because you know, you're not competing properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And the, you know, the interesting thing is that we have this definition of creativity as being, you know, a talent. You know, it's you know, we're told that we either are creative or that we're not. Yeah. And what we're saying is that actually, no, creativity is a discipline, and creative leadership is critical no matter what industry you work in. So that's what we're looking for, is a better understanding of human nature, which is the fact that we're all driven by selfish, scared and stupid desires. But also understanding that, you know, we need to engage people in a different way if we're going to evolve and survive, you know, the business of the 21st century.
Dan Gregory and Kieran Flanagan, thanks for the tips.
Thanks for your time.
Having us.